Hello students, welcome back to the class. So students, today we are going to study the very last topic of this chapter, which is we are going to discuss about the precautions that we must take while we are in the chemistry laboratory. Okay, but as I told you previously, that chemicals are very dangerous for us. Okay, they are hazardous chemicals. So that is why precautions should be taken while working in the laboratory. So the first precaution is do not work alone in the laboratory, which means we should never ever work alone in the chemistry because we need proper guidance to perform the experiments. Next one is always wear a lab coat in the laboratory. It protects your clothes. So students, you might have seen in the movies or in the TV that when the scientists perform something in the chemistry laboratory, when they perform the experiments, they wear a particular type of cloth, a particular type of this coat, that is the white color coat. Okay, so that is known as apron, and we wear that apron because it protects our clothes, and also it protects us our direct contact to the chemicals. Okay, suppose if there is some is happening, okay, suppose if that chemical has splashed on us, okay, so it will fall on the coat. Okay, so the coat is actually protecting us. The next one is the apparatus to be used in an experiment should be arranged neatly without beginning and before beginning an experiment, which means that we should always wash the all the apparatuses before performing an experiment to avoid any kind of traces that are left there from the previous experiments that we performed using those apparatuses. Okay, so therefore we should clean those apparatuses with water. Next is carefully follow your teacher's instructions whenever you perform an experiment. As I told you before, that we need proper guidance while performing the experiments. Okay, so that is why you must listen what your teacher is telling to you, and then you should work accordingly. Okay, so you need the proper supervision. So that is why teacher is there in the laboratory, and so you should work according to the teacher. Next is hot objects. Sorry, fifth one is only small quantities of chemicals should be used to carry out the experiments. It simply means that we should not take so much of chemicals or so much of chemical compounds to perform the chemical tests. Okay, so to perform the experiments, we should take a little amount of chemicals. Okay, now so the next one is hot objects should be handled with attention and care. So the objects which are hot, like we are heating some content, some liquid chemicals, you can say, in the test tube, so we should handle that very carefully, as it can cause us burns. Next one is do not touch or taste any unknown substance or inhale any unknown gas directly. So students, as you know that chemicals are very colorful. Okay, they are very attractive. So this does not mean that you will go and you will start smelling the chemicals, or you would simply dip your finger into it. No, we should never ever do that. Okay, because as I told you, chemicals are very dangerous. So we should follow these precautions. Next one is after the experiment is completed, the apparatus should be properly washed, cleaned, dried, and put back in their respective places in the laboratory. So what should we do? After we are done performing the experiments, we should wash the apparatuses, the equipments very carefully and very neatly. We should wash them so that when we use next time, there is no traces left of the chemicals in them. Next is do not throw hot concentrated acids into the sink directly. Make sure that water is running into the sink so that when you throw away anything into it, it is safely washed away. So there are two types of chemicals. First is dilute chemicals, or the dilute acids. The next one is the concentrated acids or the concentrated chemicals. So the concentrated chemicals are more dangerous. So we should never ever throw the concentrated chemicals directly into the sink. Okay, there should be running tap always, and then we can slowly diffuse it. Slowly we should throw that in the sink, and then it will be washed away by the running water. Next is in case of accidental burns or skin contact with a corrosive chemical, immediately wash the affected area with running cold water and report it to your teacher. So in case if you got burns, or if there is some accident happened in the chemistry laboratory, you should not panic. Okay, and you should immediately report to the teacher. Then teacher will provide you the first aid. Next is when you have finished doing an experiment, wash your hands with soap and dry them with a clean towel. So students, this simply means when we have finished performing an experiment, we should wash our hands with soap and water and we should dry them with clean towel. So, so that is quite obvious that if we are performing experiments, there will be some traces of some salts or chemicals that will be in our hands. So to avoid any injury or anything, we should wash our hands very carefully with water and in a very neat and tidy way. Next one is maintain silence and discipline in the laboratory and concentrate on your experiment. So students, we should always keep silence in the laboratory. As we sit silently in the classroom now, we always listen to the teacher. Likewise, we should always listen to our teacher, what teacher are teaching us in the laboratory, how they are asking us to perform the experiments, and then we should perform accordingly. Next is when using test tube for heating, avoid pointing its mouth towards your fellow classmates. This means students, when we perform the experiments in the test tubes, we heat them. So we are using the test tube holder to hold the test tubes. But we should remember one thing, that we should never ever point the mouth of the test tube towards us or towards someone else. Okay, it should be pointed to the other direction. Okay, the opposite direction. Next one is do not throw broken glass apparatus or used filter paper in the sink. Throw them in a dustbin. This simply means we should never ever throw the broken glass apparatus here and there. First of all, you have to report it to the class to the your teacher. Okay, who is in the laboratory? The teacher is present in the laboratory. Then first of all, you should inform to your teacher. Okay, and all the filter papers or any kind of trash it is, you should throw that in the trash bin, in the dustbin. Therefore, we will help in keeping our laboratory neat and clean. So these are some precautions that we must follow, or we can say that we must take in the chemistry laboratory while we are performing the experiments there. So students, with this we complete our this chapter. Okay, so we'll see you in the next one. Until then, bye, take care.